Yo, what's going on, guys? You got your boy AAron2420 here, bringing you guys my APA Academy Week 9 game versus DyeItTight, coach of the New Britain Rockruffs. I'm re-recording this from scratch because I fucked up the last time and I realized I didn't send myself the team, and I probably should be looking at that realistically. So I'm just pulling up the matchup on my phone real quick. Basically, Dye had a very good roster this game. We did live record this game together in call. Sadly, between me being sick and me dog sitting for my sister, the audio isn't exactly savable at all. It's pretty hard to not just hear my sister's dog whine the entire time because he doesn't listen to me. So, that's, sorry about that. For anyone who wanted to see a live comm, obviously stuff happens. Stuff clearly did happen that takes priority. And I couldn't just not watch my sister's dog when I'm supposed to be doing that. So, in terms of the live comm, I think that I did what I needed to do. So, even if the live comm got fucked up, it's what it is. In terms of the matchup, though, Dye, I'll go into the team real quick because I sort of need to do that since the team's not on screen for you guys. But Dye, I feel like in terms of his third draft especially, let alone all of his drafts this season, has arguably been the best coach at least making sure that he can abuse the any Zmon rule. He has a lot of good Z candidates. His whole roster is Mew, Superior, Nidoking, Komao, Arcanine, Alolan Persian, Tentacruel, Alolan Ninetales, Mega Manectric, Mawile, and ZANGOOSE. So if you look at Dye's team, he has a lot of really good Z options. Z Superior is a great option to get around a lot of checks. It's a great option, at least when you don't need to force a Z move onto it and make it a Z captain, because most games you won't bring it, but there are a lot of niche matchups where you can bring like a Z Normalium Superior to get around certain checks. You can bring a Grassium Z and just nuke something once you are already boosted. You have Nidoking, obviously, which, while not necessarily a great Zmon, it still is a very scary breaker for my team, I feel like. Mew is a phenomenal Z option. Dye also has Komao, which is a very terrifying Z option. Arcanine is very scary. So he has a lot of good options. And even on the defensive spectrum, he has Alolan Persian, which can also get some momentum off into the rest of his mons. So in terms of the matchup, I'm not going to lie. I was a little bit surprised to see B6. I really genuinely thought that Komao was going to slap my ass this week. So I'm very glad that he did not come. I thought that, obviously, Mew would come this week. I felt like Mew had a phenomenal matchup. I thought that Superior would come because I thought that he would actually over-prep for Vaporeon because his team is a little bit weak to it. It's not anything insane, but it's a tiny bit weak to it. I just felt like Vaporeon personally hadn't been the easiest mod to fit on the draft this week. Otherwise, as mentioned, Komao was really nasty for me. I felt like Arcanine at least could have possibly came. Main reason for Arcanine is possibly just like a helmet set with Intimidate, just for a loose Hawlucha check. I thought that Mawile would actually definitely come, because I felt like Mawile was a far better Lottie check than anything that he brought. So, I actually, looking at this team, I was pretty happy, to be honest, because last second, I kept getting slapped by Mawile and Mox. The two things that really bothered me in Mox were Komao and Mawile. Every single Mox, I get slapped by one of the two, if not a combination of the two. So, seeing this roster, I learned a few things about Dye's team. One, he has two possible rockers, either Nidoking or Mew, which is actually very good for my team. So, even though that I'm not necessarily a rock weak roster this week, it means that his lead is one of the two. So I know that his lead is also going to be potentially a taunt lead, because otherwise he would have probably brought some sort of other rocker like Mawile and just tried to go for Intimidate rocks and just cycle through. So knowing this, I know that he's probably going to lead off with a taunt lead, something like Nidoking or Mew. I felt like it was pretty obvious to me in my opinion. Not only this, but I also felt like that Alolan Persian obviously had to be the parting shot, because with this roster, Mew is looking like a win con, which also sort of narrows down Nidoking to being that rocker. I felt like that Nidoking could honestly get away with, versus my roster, dual stab plus rocks plus taunt. Or even if he wanted to forego taunt, Toxic Spikes was still a very threatening option as well. He could even just go for something like, let's say, Thunderbolt for Vaporeon, though Earth Power would do a ton of damage anyway, so I don't necessarily feel like that's necessary. Superior, I felt like would honestly just be a Sub-Seed set with like Sub-Seed and then also Leaf Storm, obviously, and then some sort of fourth move, probably like Dragon Pulse to hit my Latios. Persian, I felt like was Z parting shot. I felt like that was definitely the case because that would be a great way to keep longevity on the Mew. If not, then he was Z Mew, and I felt like that could have also been equally as terrifying. Ninetales is obviously Veil. ZANGOOSE is probably just a Toxic Orb quick attack set to just pick off any sort of sweepers I have. Things like Hawlucha, for example, a Terrain got up. So, in terms of my team this week, I brought a very interesting team, I feel like. I think that my team versus Dye, it's one of the better prep teams I've prepped in a while. First up, I have Baby Arceus, our Titan Null. With a Jolly Nature, I have Return, Swords Dance, Flame Charge, and Dragon Claw. If I get the +1 boost off, I can actually outpace his entire team. The speed, I'm 252 Jolly, by the way. This was to guarantee a speed superior. I believe that was the right number, if I'm not mistaken. If not, then I just prepped very poorly. Actually, I was out-prep Alolan Persian, my bad. It was something. I forget, honestly, what it was prepped for, but I remember it was a very necessary speed tier to hit, because it hit around, yeah, because Alolan Impersion, yeah, so that number is right. It's around Alolan Impersion speed tier, give or take. It's at least a speed tie. Point being though, not only this, but it will also outpace things like the Como at +1, and I can Dragon Claw that at +2, and I can take a non-boosted Como hit, which is sort of my thought process of running like a no bulk on this thing this week. I can take superior hits and go for return. So Flame Charge plus return is a really nasty combination for Dye's team in general, because his resist to normal kind of suck. And that's sort of my thought process of running an offensive type null this week. Because not only that, but he also really struggles to break it just naturally. His only way is Como, which is why I really thought that Como had to come this game. Otherwise, he's relying on Toxic Spikes, which very well could come from like Nidoking, for example. And it's sort of another reason why I think that Nidoking really has to be his lead here. Next up, he has Latios here with, well, next up, I have Latios here with Calm Mind, Dragon Pulse, Psychic, and Roost. Originally, I had Hidden Power Fire on the spread. Well, originally, I had Roost on the spread. Then I switched to Hidden Power Fire for a little bit, and then I switched back to Roost because I realized that Dye would not bring Regular Mall well. I felt like it was a really bad brain versus my team. The only thing I really served purpose for was Intimidate support versus Hawlucha and checking Latios. And when I say checking Latios, I mean check, not counter. Because if I brought Hidden Power Fire, it would be gone. It only handles this set, really. My spread is 252 HP, 180 speed. 180 speed Timid is to outspeed his Mew, guaranteed. 76 speed F because Dye has a really special offensive roster this week. It's pretty, just in general, it's pretty undeniable that that's a fact. So because of this, this will help me take Leaf Storms better. I really didn't know what to do with the rest of the bulk because it was sort of like either high end for certain rolls or low end for those same rolls, so it didn't change any damage rolls necessarily. The 76 special attack or less did not actually change offensive rolls either, so I felt pretty safe in just going for Calm Mind. I felt pretty free to get off a lot of boosts versus his roster as well. Things like Mew were pretty easy setup fodder as long as it didn't have Toxic, and I felt like Mew would be offensive anyway. Things like Nidoking, if I get the +1 boost off anyway with how fat I am, I can take another hit, and I can start Roost stalling. Anyway though, next up we have Magipulse, our Clefable. With the Unaware this week, I felt like Unaware was really important as a superior check. I have Moonlight, Aromatherapy, Toxic, and Moonblast. I'm maxed his def because Superior doesn't do anything to me as long as I have Unaware. Otherwise, it completely obliterates me. The Fizz def will also help with things such as Como. As long as he is not Poisonium Z, I can guarantee live any hit. If he is Poisonium Z, then depending on the nature and investment, it could kill. It's also a roll anyway. But it is still very terrifying, of course, because Como going for Poisonium or Steelium Z is very, very hard hitting. Excuse me. If he's Steelium Iron Tail, on the other hand, I believe that guarantees a kill, which would be very terrifying, of course, because I would lose my Clefable, and I feel like Clefable is a very good mon. At least in terms of the matchup, I felt like he was a very good mon. Looking at his team, though, it really only serves as a superior and maybe an offensive view check. So I'm a little bit safe about that, at least, because it does mean that I can play a little bit more risky with this and just go for Toxic versus things like the Clefable and versus the Superior, and just attack what's in front of me. And worst comes to worst, attack as an Nidoking if I really need to. Next up, we have Hawlucha with Power Up this week. I felt like that Hawlucha actually had a good matchup this week, and had a phenomenal matchup. It was great for things like Bulu for Como, which I was very scared of. However, Bulu had a really awful matchup this week. Arguably, his best set would have been a Scarf set with maybe like Mega Horn just to pick off Superior if need be, or just click Woodhammer versus things like Mew and non-Scarf Nidoking. However, I feel like that still didn't do enough damage versus things like the Persian, and he can switch around Como pretty easily on that, and then just start setting up for game. So I felt like it was a pretty bad brain to bring Bulu. However, with bringing Hawlucha here actually this week, I have Sky Attack, Sword Dance, Drain Punch, and Acrobatics. I felt like that with the speed, I actually do a lot to his team. And I didn't even need a lot of attack either this week. If I get the +2 attack, I nail his team really hard anyway. So I just actually ran a Jolly Nature this week with Sky Attack, Swords Dance, Drain Punch, and Acro. 236 speed, that'll guarantee outspeed Superior. Actually, that'll guarantee outspeed Alolan Persian. That's what I crept. Because I figured that I just wanted to hit that thing if I needed to. I didn't want to necessarily risk anything because since I am not just Seed, I don't have an automatic boost, and I wanted to make sure I will always outpace. I also can guarantee hit a Sky Attack versus Superior. As long as I hit, I should be fine. And that will do a ton of damage, of course. The Sky Attack is more so for Como, but if I need to, or in this case, I guess he didn't bring Como, so I'm fine to just click for Superior. Next up, we have Absolute Unit, our Camerupt. I'm bringing a fatter Camerupt this week. With a Modest Nature, I have 132 special attack that guarantees 2 kills and pretty much everything as roster. I have Sub, Earth Power, Toxic, and Fire Blast. All I need is Dual Stab. Look at his team. You could look at his entire roster. It's pretty obvious why I needed this. I'm pretty sure I even 2-KO Como, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's the only one that might get out of the 2-KO range. The spread I know is guaranteed to 2-KO Fizz Def Mew with Fire Blast. You can obviously invest Spadef, but if he has Spadef Mew, I can just Toxic it anyway. If he really has Heal Bell, then that plus Recovery plus a move to hit me. He's really lacking on moveset, and I feel like Defensive Mew is pretty garbage versus my roster anyway. But, I mean, he can do him. Finally, in the spread, we have 3 meat lasagna or crustle this week with a custard berry. Custard berry I felt like was very nice versus Dye's team in general. Ice spikes, rocks, earthquake, and Exeter. The adamant 236 is really all I needed for things like superior, Nidoking, earthquake. View can get to a kill by Exeter, etc., etc. My plan is basically to lead off a crustle in general, no matter what his lead is. If he leads off with the mod that gets taunt, things like Persian, Nidoking, Mew, my plan was just to attack what's in front of me. If he leads off with something else, my plan was to just go for hazards and then attack. And as we can see, without further ado, I'm just going to get right into the game. Actually, I just had to close out my Chrome because otherwise it would have lagged so much. So, as you can see, I do obviously lead off with Crustle. I felt like it was an extremely free lead versus DyeItTight's team. It really didn't make sense to lead off with any other mod on my roster. It would have been a horrible lead regardless. So he's going to lead off with Barney, which is his Nidoking, as you can see. So in my mind, I thought that realistically, it would be in my best interest to go for an Earthquake. Between the possibility of him going for Rocks, Toxic Spikes, or Taunt, all of those options seem like a great opportunity for me to just click Earthquake. And if you really did pop my Custap without actually attacking me, I can go for Rocks in the turn after, or even just finish off his Nidoking, and it would be no concern. So he actually stays in and clicks Taunt. That's perfectly fine by me. He's taking a ton of damage already, and with such a big threat on his team getting hit this hard early on, that's phenomenal for me. So I'm going to stay in. Surprisingly, I don't actually get to my Sturdy, which I was really shocked about, not going to lie. But I guess that 20 SPF is really putting in a lot of work. And I click Exeter here. I figured that he's low enough to die to it. He guaranteed died to it with how much he was doing. Well, with just in general his spread, I knew he guaranteed died. And not only that, but it allowed me to then counter any sort of superior or Mew switch in. So speaking of, I actually pop my Custap here, and we go for Exeter, which is going to also nail the superior. So already I've killed off 2 Mons. Dye actually forgot that Custap Berry existed, so I felt very bad for Dye when this happened. He sounded really depressed about it in call. He pretty much admitted defeat at this moment, so it was very sad to hear. But in general though, I second my Crustle here. Once Custap popped and realizing I was slower than everything else on the roster anyway, I never had a way to get this thing healthy again, so it was really wasteful to have kept this thing around otherwise if I did. And I can bring an absolute unit for 100% free at this point. And it was a really free bring-in as well, because the switch-ins to it suck. He didn't bring Spinef Como, which would have been arguably his best switch-in in his roster. But even then, he also lost his Nidoking, which could offensively pressure it really well. And I didn't think that Mew would bring a water cover, which just didn't seem likely with how he's been playing it. So he goes for Psychic here, of course, which is perfectly fine. I go for Fire Blast, and I figured I can scout what sort of Mew this is. I found out here that he's actually not overly bulky on his Mew. He definitely has some fat, but Max HP Mew would have taken a lot less damage from this. So he's going to click Soft Boil here, and as we can see, I decided to click Fire Blast yet again. He's sort of trying to bait. Actually, I believe I clicked Fire Blast here. Yeah, no, I actually clicked Earth Power. At this point, I was actually being really stupid, and I was like, okay, I'm going to get a Spinef drop, realizing that I can't get a Spinef drop, at least a couple turns later. So I click Earth Power. I figured not only that, but if he recovery spams, then at least I'm not missing. So even if he's going to gain back a little bit of HP each turn, eventually I'll get him to a range where an Earth Power plus a Fire Blast will guarantee kill, or maybe I get a crit. I decided after to go for Toxic, because then I can at least outstall him while I go for Toxic damage plus Earth Power. He is slightly lower, and he's going to be on the recovery spam end, so I will always be getting off damage, whereas he's only going to be getting off Toxic damage versus me if he does play the recovery spam route. And if he doesn't, he dies to an Earth Power plus a couple Toxic turns, so all I need to do is just wait a little bit, be a little bit patient. And worst comes to worst, even if my Campbell does die first, at the very least, I can then bring in something later on, such as Latios, and just get up free Calm Minds as he recovers spams that is already taking a ton of damage from Toxic, so I can take advantage of it pretty freely later on. And not only that, but because he didn't bring the Mawile, my Latios actually looks really free for a sweep here. So because of this, I decided I'm just going to outstall him and let him take his damage. As we can see, his Mew is actually really low, to the point where his Mew could definitely die to a Fire Blast at this point. So he's definitely going to just click Soft Boil here. It's really his only play. And if I had a Fire Blast for even a decent roll, that plus Toxic should take out his Mew, if I'm not mistaken. So as we can see, I'm going to click Fire Blast here. And we are going to hit, because Mega Carup's the best Mega in the game, don't at me. And we're going to see that he gets his leftovers back, of course. And I believe it is not enough for his Mew, as he's going to die to Poison here right before my Camerupt dies. So, of course, Mew is going to faint. That is great for us. We've already killed half of Dye's team. We've only lost one of our Mons. To be fair, though, it was our Crustle, so it counts even less because Crustle was supposed to just be a suicide lead. And Camerupt is pretty much dead at this point, which is great because I can then just see what he wants to go into and then take advantage of it later on pretty freely. He goes into Persian, of course, and goes for the Dark Pulse. That is perfectly fine by me, as this does mean that I could pretty freely bring in Yoshiko, my Hawlucha. Sadly, this was the one Mon I could not have brought in Latios, so it was really unfortunate. However, Yoshiko does come in extremely freely here, and I just click Drain Punch. I figured there's no use in popping my power herb yet, just in case if the fact that, let's say he tried to play around it or went for parting shot, and parting shot into something that I wasn't exactly favorable for. So I figured I would save it. It also is really nice hit on superior, so I figured I would just click Drain Punch, kill off what's in front of me, and then, yeah. So Persian is dead, and he brings in Ninetales now, probably just trying to get up Veil and also for the hail damage. So we're going to see the Sky Attack go off right here, and sadly, I believe we end up missing this. If not, then I'm thinking, yeah, I would say we end up missing this. I could have sworn we missed it. He now goes for Hypnosis, which is actually really awful for us. This Holucia could have been literally the game right here. All I had to do was click Sky Attack, hit, I would have killed the Ninetales, and then I just clicked Acro versus Superior and won the game. So that was actually really unfortunate. However, Yoshiko just decides to take her sweet little time and stay asleep, which kind of sucks because he's able to get off a really hard-hitting freeze dive versus me. It nearly kills. So unless if I actually wake up like this turn, my Holucia does just lose. And as you can see, we do stay asleep. Very disheartening, I know, that our Holucia is still asleep. Sadly, Yoshiko is wasting her damn time and needs to just, I don't know, she needs to go rest somewhere else. So she's going to go off the field for a second, and we're going to bring in our win con at this point, Rem, our Latios. Sadly, it's male locked, so I couldn't make Rem female like she should be, but it's fine. Regardless, though, I'm going to just go for Calm Mind. I didn't overly care if he clicked Hypnosis versus me. He does self-hit, of course. I mean, it is literally a 50-50. I did need the boost to kill, depending on how bulky he was. He is actually going to go for an Aurora Veil here, which is a really nice play by Dye's part. I should have probably just clicked Psychic in terms of this. However, if I didn't get the boost off, then Superior coming in was a little bit scary at this point, mainly just because it would have itself boosted, of course, and he would have Veil up defensively as well to help. So you're going to still win in that regard. I'm just going to click Psychic here, and as you can see, it does like no damage. He's going to click Encore here, which is a very smart play on Dye's part. Because in most cases, I'm not going to lie, I forgot Encore insisted. I think I told Dye that I remembered it, totally played around it. I didn't actually remember it. Regardless, though, I clicked Psychic here. Mainly because I felt like that if he was going to click Hypnosis, I wanted to get off as much chip as possible first. Before, so then whatever I brought in next, such as Type Null, could at least get a little bit of a head start on him. He sadly here misses his Hypnosis. That's great for us, but sad for him, of course. He's going to go for Freeze Shrine. It's going to do no damage to us at all. You guys can't necessarily see because my face cam, but he took it around like, he did around like 40% to us. 40 HP, I should say, which is like nothing to Latios. It's like 20, like just over 20%. We're going to kill off the Ninetales here, which is actually great. And lastly, he's going to bring in her Superior, and we are +1 Latios locked in, well, no longer locked into Encore with Psychic, I should say. And, well, no, he's going to bring in his Zangoose. I forgot. He has Zangoose left. His Superior already died, my bad. So, he's going to bring in his Zangoose here. And at this point, though, I'm not going to lie. In the game, I also did actually think he had his Superior left as his last one. So, it's sort of funny that I made that same mistake right now. But he's going to bring in Zangoose right now. And he's actually going to go for the Z move. So, this is a pretty nice tech by Dye's part. As he goes for the Z Belly Drum here, which is really clever. It was a nice way for him to be able to just get back up to full and then click Belly Drum here. He sort of mentioned afterwards that he could have clicked normal Belly Drum, still lived another hit, and then actually just went for Z Belly Drum, got himself up to half again. Though it would have been pretty pointless in my opinion, just because of the fact that Veil would have still, like regardless, he wouldn't have really gained anything from this. So, Quick Attack goes off, and it kills the Latios, of course. I'm going to go into Manager Pulls here. I believe actually, no, I'm mistaken. Dye wanted to click Z Belly Drum on the Clefable. That's why he wanted to save it. So, sorry to misquote Dye. He wanted to click it here, mainly just to keep it healthy so he could 1v1 Clefable, which would have been a very smart play on Dye's end, because as you can see, we're not going to do any real damage to him. Well, we didn't do any real damage with Latios, and if we didn't get the crit, we wouldn't have done any real damage to him either. So, regardless though, very good game to Dye. I think that I still definitely do win that in-game, because I could have always stalled out Veil and then just click Moonblast and then kill him. So, it's unfortunate, of course, to see Dye lose, as Dye has had a really good run this season. However, I'm not complaining. Regardless, I think that he wouldn't have even gotten that scenario as a possibility had Holucia not missed anyway, so it didn't really matter. Regardless though, GG to Dye. Make sure to check him out along with everyone else in APA Academy. Next week, we're going to be taking on, I believe, I'm not going to lie, I forget who we take on next week. I just remember that it was a very fun game that I played. I really enjoyed the game I played. Oh yeah, shit, no, we play Dr. Slyking next week. So Dr. Slyking has had a very phenomenal season. I've seen a couple of his builds. He's built very phenomenally. He's one of the best preppers, in my opinion, in the entire league. So I'm very much looking forward to playing him. I love playing people who prep really well. He's really good at drafting as well. And I think he's by far our biggest contender for fighting for that playoff seed right now. As everyone else, at least, has comfortable enough positions to where if they win out, they'll be fine. But Dr. Slacking definitely, as of going into this week, has by far the closest chance of beating me out of playoffs. So this game is a very important game for our playoffs. If we win this game, we should be pretty safe because he'll be 4-5 at least. So if he lost this week, then 4-6, which would pretty safely clinch us for playoffs, assuming that we don't get like swept or body bagged any sort of weeks. And if we lose this game, we're going to need some really big differential wins, some big plays. So we're going to have to hope for that. Make sure to check out next week. It's going to be a very action-packed game. I know you guys will enjoy watching it. It'll be live comment as well. I did live comment, so you guys will enjoy that. If you guys did enjoy it, leave a like down below. I will see you guys in the next one. Until then, peace out, guys.